Production funding for Ruckus has been provided by gifts from Dave and Jamie Cummings, the Hartwig family, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Ruckus, our weekly food for thought fight over the news of the day and the trends of the times. I'm Mike Shannon. The Ruckettes join me shortly, and our topics this week, it's Edgemoor, more or less secrecy in Kansas, more deficit spending in Washington, plus, of course, roast and toast. But we start with our interview segment and talk about History is Power, a locally produced blog offering insight into the origins of some of today's top news. The blog is the work of Diane Eickhoff and Aaron Barnhart, Mr. and Mrs. Many of you will recall, as do I, Aaron's years of writing about TV and radio at the Kansas City Star. Aaron, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Ruckus. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be back with you, Mike.
So your blog is titled History is Power. So why is history power?
Because history isn't just something that gets contained in books that we read at our leisure. History, as James Baldwin and others have said, is something we carry around with us. I think Faulkner said it's not even the past. But the idea is that if we don't know our past, we're really shortchanging ourselves in getting all that we need to understand where we came from and plan a better future for us.
Lots of people think history began the day they were born.
Yes.
And often don't realize that much more took place before then. And the reason we study history is to understand the past and what the effect will be on the present and the future. We study the past to better understand the present. Talk some about your blog and how it came to be.
Well, as you mentioned, my wife, Diane Eickhoff, was the one who really got me into this. When I was still at the Kansas City Star about 20 years ago, she made a pivot and began studying history, and she wrote the first biography of the woman who brought the women's rights movement to Kansas. Her name was Clarina Nichols, and I helped her edit and publish that work. That's really what got me in, and then when I quit the newspaper about 5 years ago, I went into it full-time with her. And this blog is really the outgrowth of the fact that there are more stories to tell than we could possibly write books. And so if we can just even impart a little story every day of every week, I could be doing this till I was 100. Because, Mike, seriously, there is so much hidden history, so much that was left out of the books that you and I read growing up.
And people can get that information on your blog at no charge. Everything is free.
Yeah, like any blog. I mean, I started blogging in the 1990s back on television when people would do a story just about somebody who, wow, look at this, he's giving away stuff on the internet. Now we're all giving it away. But I find that a lot of the people who followed me back then when I was the TV and media critic for the Kansas City Star are glad to reconnect with me. And in fact, part of this mission is to cover the best new films, TV shows, and documentaries that help fill in some of the gaps of the history we didn't get.
On your blog right now is a story about late night television, and you and I used to talk a lot about late night television, Johnny Carson and all the others while you were at the Star and I was on radio. Let's talk about a couple of the items on your blog right now. One deals with Black History Month, which of course February is. And you say Kansas City is a site where there is a lot of black history.
Yeah, black history is one of those parts of American history that we as the establishment, let's put it that way, for many years, almost all major history posts were held by whites. The National Park Service, which is where a lot of the charged with a lot of the historical preservation, used to have segregation policies. So we're doing a lot of catching up here. But Kansas City and this entire Missouri-Kansas border region, I'm happy to say, has some of the best interpreted black history sites, whether it's Brown versus Board of Education in Topeka, the George Washington Carver site down by Joplin, or even here in Kansas City. In addition to the outstanding Mid-America Black Archives, we've got the Quindaro site. And I'm really excited about the symposium that my old colleague, Paul Wensky, is going to be convening in April with all the major stakeholders and storytellers around the Quindaro site. And let's see if we can't get that move forward to the to the next stage of historic preservation.
We're down to the last minute or so. You have a story analogizing President Andrew Jackson and the current occupant of the White House.
Absolutely. I don't think it's any accident that the current resident of the Oval Office has right over his shoulder a portrait of our 7th president. They were both bold. They both got completely, they were both never afraid to say what they said. They both had a populist appeal. And the most intriguing thing to me, Mike, is that in their first year of office, they were completely consumed by chaos, and chaos surrounding specifically a scandal involving a woman of ill repute. And these were the kinds of things, I wouldn't say that the women who are accusing the current president are necessarily women of ill repute. I would say that the sex scandal and the chaos and the ability to overwhelm the president, very much like what happened in the first year of Andrew Jackson's terms. And guess what? He righted his ship, went on to win a second term, closed down the Bank of the United States, and moved all the Indians
I was
west.
going to say, and Jackson won a second term.
Yes.
Very quickly, if somebody wants to see your blog, how do they do that?
They go to historyispower.blog, and there they can read the articles and sign up for the newsletter, and I'll send them a guide of good history films.
Aaron, thanks very much. Thanks for coming
Thank you,
in.
Mike.
Best regards to Diane. Tell her I said hi.
I'll pass it along.
All right, that is the creator of History is Power, Aaron Barnhart. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus. Terry Riley is a former city councilman and now heads Transformation Consultants. Crosby Kemper III is head of the Kansas City Library System and host of KCPT's Meet the Past and Centropolis programs. Mary O'Halloran is a media and communications consultant, and attorney Steve Marakian offers learned counsel from his large corner office at Wersch, Hobbs, and Marakian. Appreciate all of you coming in. Special thanks to Crosby for filling in at the last minute for Annie Presley, who's a bit under the weather, and we hope Annie gets well and back to the program soon.
I'm her cousin Elvis.
Elvis, all right. You, good line. You likely thought that when you heard the City Council had finally signed a memorandum of understanding with Edgemoor Infrastructure to build a new KCI, it was a done deal. All the talking was over, now the airport gets built. But it's not over. The council's 8-5 vote last week simply means discussions with a divided council will continue, aiming for a final contract by September, almost 1 year after voters approved a new airport. Among those who voted for the MOU, Mayor James and council members Fowler, Lucas, Justice, Kennedy, Reed, Shields, and McManus. Voting no, Wagner, Hall, Lohr, Barnes, and Taylor. So first question, you used to be on the City Council. Terry, what's your perspective on how the council is doing with the KCI question?
Well, first of all, I'm glad it passed. And to be perfectly honest, I am a consultant to the to Edgemoor. And so I just wanted to say that. I'm glad the council passed.
Well, sure you are.
You're right about that. But just looking at it overall, 8-5, of course you're not satisfied with it just being 8-5. As we move along, I would like to bring all those council members on board to create an airport that each council member can be proud of, and subsequently the entire city, most of all, the city will be proud of.
Was there a consistent reason why 5 of the council members said no?
There were different reasons. Some of the council members liked other groups that were there before. Some council members just believed it shouldn't be an airport. Some council members believed it should have been 100% union.
Okay. Crosby, you were not a former councilman, but I'd be interested also in what your perspective is on
I think the whole process
handling.
has been unbelievably badly managed. Jolie Justice herself said we shouldn't let elected officials conduct these kinds of, which is interesting for a person who's probably running for mayor to say, you know, don't let me do this.
One of many.
Yeah, one of many, and they're all running for mayor, and a lot of the votes were about that one way or another. You know, who knows at this stage? The city's not been good at managing large projects, with maybe the exception of the Sprint Arena in recent history. Every audit shows problems. I'm a little worried as a former banker that the MOU they voted for shows not a $1 billion ticket, it's $3 billion. Everybody should be aware of that over 35 years. And the useful life of the airport is much less than 35 years. We'll be doing major renovations while we're still paying for what we're about to do. And so I'm not sure anybody's actually managed this process up to this point.
So, Mary, there are city elections next year. Will the airport be a major issue, do you think?
Sure, and it should be. And I have somewhat of a different point of view about the, quote, politics involved, Crosby. What is the matter with people complaining about there being politics with politicians? This is supposed to be a public process, and if it's a public process, it's a $1 billion and once-in-a-lifetime project, extraordinarily important for our economy, then of course it's going to have controversy. There better be different points of view. But the problem, and Terry, early on, was that it wasn't open. And there were various efforts along the line to make this a more secretive process. Thanks to the Kansas City Star, Catherine Shields.
Well, some of us on Ruckus who talked about it.
And some of us on Ruckus. We began to open the process up. And I sharply disagree with Jolie Justice. Public officials need to be in charge of public events.
So Steve, some people still say this project should be undertaken by a local company. Do you agree?
Well, I thought that all along, and I still believe it. But the problem is, and I think Terry's right, you know, this was voted on. The council did these things, and where I agree with Mary to this extent is that the politicians, I think, make the initial vote. They decide who they're going to use. They chose Edgemoor. That's on them. Okay. But from that point, then I'm along lines of Crosby. I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a businessman. I can't imagine that these council members have the first idea how to build an airport. And they look at these memoranda of understandings and so forth, they look at these things, and they all have their own political concerns about it. But the reality is, you have selected Edgemoor. If Edgemoor is not worthy of putting this project together, which they clearly are, okay, then that's on you. But from that point, let them do their job and get this airport built.
Well, and the council has over $1 million worth of outside legal counsel helping them decide if the contract and MOU are
development lawyers who've made a lot of money off the city over the years and making a lot of money off this deal. I will just say that our hope here is that Southwest will actually control this process, because ultimately the airlines, which means ultimately the airline passengers, are going to pay for this. So I'm hopeful they'll actually oversee this, because I don't think that anybody at the city is capable of it.
The people who ought to be in charge are the people that represent the people. The purpose of the, you know, what we have to worry about is, will the interests of the flying public, the citizens of the city and the region, be foremost? Now, you want the airlines.
The answer to that
you
is
want
no.
the airlines to make money, of course. You want them to do well. You want them to come here, but it's for us, and that's why
I got to stop it and move on, because we're running short on time. From time to time, a word that's been around forever suddenly comes into vogue, and you hear it being said everywhere. The most recent example is transparent, which has nothing to do with changing gender or having children. Transparent simply means clarity and openness, something you expect from government but don't always get. The most vivid local example is apparently Kansas state government. The Star has done a lengthy series of news stories, editorials, and public meetings to drive that point home. The new governor, Jeff Collier, apparently got the message. In his first address to the legislature, he announced a series of steps to make Kansas government more open, more transparent. So, Mary, is Governor Collier now on the right path?
Absolutely on the right path. It's it's so much fun to say something great about a Republican.
Oh my God!
It's so odd to hear you do that.
Well, he's no dummy. He wants to be elected. He doesn't want to be the selected governor. And as long as he follows Stephanie Clayton, a Republican from Overland Park, who has distinguished herself on this issue, he'll be just fine. What he has suggested, what he's going to do is put websites. Imagine this: governor's office websites of all the agencies of state government will be open. All their meetings will be posted on websites. It doesn't sound very revolutionary, but it is. The second thing that's extremely important is that he said he might look at opening up the details of development projects.
Like HCA moving their headquarters with huge Kansas subsidies, HCA, which he works for.
Yeah, let's quickly note that HCA is moving from Missouri to Kansas.
Right.
Governor Collier, who's a plastic surgeon, does some work at HCA.
Oh, he is on their board.
He says he had nothing to do with it. He had no involvement with it. It was done during the Brownback
The day he becomes governor, they announced the big subsidy for the board of the medical.
This is a great example of lack of transparency. This is the taxpayers' money. We don't know how much it is. We don't know what the deal is. And what we do know is that every analyst of this across the country says Missouri and Kansas are the center of the worst public policy.
Steve, if this is really a problem in Kansas, why has it gone unnoticed for so long?
Well,
let Steve answer that one.
A lot of it has to do with the reality that we all talk about transparency. We all say we're in favor of transparency. But the reality is, throughout our political history, there has been virtually no transparency. We know so little about what our government does at all levels that we've essentially come to accept it. And so we continually vote for people based upon ideology, party lines, and so forth and so on, without actually making them accountable. I like what the governor's doing. I'm in favor of maximum transparency to the extent that you can do it without letting the people micromanage. But
Terry, is this
most people really don't want to know, and they don't care.
Yeah. Is this something that Collier can run on? The governor who has made transparency part of governing in Kansas?
Absolutely. I mean, he's saying transparency right after a deal that he probably was involved in has been put out there, moving HCA from Missouri over to Kansas, but now he's saying transparency. One thing I would like to say as it relates to education, that's another piece I would like to, him to continue to push forward as it relates to transparency. And last, if he really wants to be transparent, just like Crosby said, let's open the books on all of these development projects that's been done in the cloak of secrecy. And if he's really serious about that, he'll do just that. And that will show he's being totally transparent.
The big deal, Terry, is that to open up the legislative process, believe it or not, ordinary citizens in Kansas couldn't find out who voted for which bills
they don't
in their
record all the votes.
They don't record the votes. I mean, it's amazing.
Mary, when you were in the, was it Iowa legislature?
The Iowa legislature.
Was it transparent?
When I was elected in the freshman class of 1972, it was a huge issue. And the first thing I took on, and a number of us did, was to open, they had secret committee meetings back then. But my gosh, that was a long time ago. And most every state has complete legislative openness, but you can't find out who voted for which bill in a committee in Kansas. And now
we're on the floor.
Well, what about all these websites that tell you how people voted on every issue? I see those all the time.
That's the final vote, but the business, the business is done in the committee, so determines what's going to come out on the floor.
So does that matter?
Oh my gosh!
I believe it.
If you know how they vote on
you can't hold anybody accountable if you don't know how they're voting.
Well, you know how they voted on the final
sometimes
document?
People vote yes in committee and get out to the floor and say no.
But Mike, it's not just Kansas. Kansas is bad, no question about it. So are most states, and the federal government is worse than any of them.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of the federal government, it closed down last week for a few hours, then reopened after Congress agreed to keep the government fully funded, giving the House and Senate more time to craft a final budget bill. The funding deal also adds billions of dollars to the future budget over the next 2 years, about half for the military, the other half for domestic programs. A lot of Republicans were unhappy with the spending agreement that adds a few zeros to the deficit and the debt. So, Steve, why do Republicans keep telling voters they will cut spending if they're elected, but once again, after being elected, have agreed to do just the opposite?
Well, two reasons. One is because they're just blatantly dishonest. The other is because they want to get reelected, and they know that, quite frankly, despite all these things people say about how they want to cut budgets and so forth and so on, nobody wants their stuff cut, okay? And this goes for conservatives and Republicans as well as liberals and Democrats. I'm not blaming any group of people. What I'm saying is it's easy when you're running for office to say, I oppose the burgeoning debt. And then when you get in there, when somebody says, well, but what about what's coming to me, then you give them what they want. I am absolutely disgusted. I really actually now call myself more an independent than anything else. I tend to vote for more Republicans only because they're going to do less damage, in my view, than the Democrats. This budget deal, for example, okay, is one of the worst things in history that I have ever seen. We have a debt that is incredibly high, getting higher, and yet, until we start cutting spending, we are essentially
But Steve,
doomed.
you're a West Point graduate, and this adds money to the military budget.
I don't care about that. The military needs to be rebuilt, not at the expense of everything else. And secondly, the military is amongst the highest in terms of waste, fraud, and abuse of anybody else. Their budgets can also be cut.
From a technological standpoint, we can put more money into the budget for the military. That's what we need to look at. 4.4 trillion that they put into this budget, 7 trillion overall. EPA cut by 25%. Small business, the administration of small business cut by 25%. They even cut Meals on Wheels again, transportation by 18%. Well, look at all these wrecks we continue to see with our train system, and they cut it by 18%.
But these are all proposals. The final budget has not yet been achieved. And I would point out, Crosby, that Republicans in the Senate don't have 60 votes, and you can't get anything done unless you get 60 votes to proceed to debate a bill. And so Republicans have to depend on support from the Democrats.
Compromise, which means we're going to end up with these. We're not going to have a real budget.
That's why it's military and domestic spending.
Yeah. And the Republicans, the Democrats, the White House all hired the mafia's accountant, Rosie Scenario, and none of these numbers are real in any way, shape, or form. And I'm with Steve. I'm disgusted by the whole process. Republicans are in charge of all three parts of the government, and we're ending up with a budget that will send us into Greek-like debt. I'm not talking about Plato and Aristotle.
Mary, is this good news for the Democrats?
What?
The fact that these people are sitting around criticizing the Republicans, and the Democrats can go out and say...
What happens is your responsibility, and what happens is taking place because of this massive tax cut, and you have to pay for it somehow. And
well, they're not paying for it with this piece of legislation.
Oh, yes, you are. You're paying for it by what the New York Times calls the most incredibly severe transfer of wealth from lower income Americans to higher income
They say that about every budget crafted by Republicans. Yes, they do.
No. When you have to cut, you're going to deliver boxes of food for food stamps.
Well, that's just a proposal, Mary. That's not a fait accompli.
The transfer of wealth is because the people at the very top get a huge, amazing amount.
Well, they pay the bulk of the taxes.
Do you know during the Obama
administration, pay 80% of the taxes?
Do you know during the Obama administration, the tax cut that you got then is better for middle class and lower income people?
He's making stuff up.
No, dude, this is
making it up.
Yes,
it is just nonsense.
$200.
I got to get you to hold on, and we're down to 30 seconds, Steve. Is DACA going to be resolved before March the 5th? Deferred action on childhood arrivals.
I think it probably will, because again, the Republicans that I voted for are all going to cave in like they always do.
You
and it'll be a horrible deal.
Have a DACA agreement?
I think there might be. I think his question is, will Trump agree to it?
Yeah. Will Democrats go along with his 4 proposals that he has to have to go along with a DACA deal?
Push comes to shove, I suppose they will.
All right. Now we head to the soapbox for Roast and Toast, where the Ruckettes have 30, let me repeat that, 30 seconds each to adore or deplore people and events in the news. And we start with Mary.
Well, I adore Mr. Jamal, Syed Jamal, the chemistry professor from Lawrence, who has undergone incredible trauma, being arrested in his front yard. And we all know the story now because it's so important to our area and to our spirit, so to speak. Thank you to everybody who has helped him online, everybody who has helped his family, and we hope that you get a favorable ruling and can return to your family from the immigration police, Mr.
Terry.
Jamal.
I had one, and it was a Black History fact, but I'll do it later. I want to congratulate
not on this program.
We're
running out of time.
The first responders, Broward County, some of my friends on the city council down there, county commissioners, and I just want to thank them for getting out there quickly in dealing with this issue of guns that America will not deal with.
All right, Steve.
I'm roasting world-renowned theologian Joy Behar, the blathering behemoth of buffoonery, for mocking Vice President Pence by saying that Christians who say that God speaks to them must be mentally ill. Behar is such an ignorant bigot that she apparently doesn't realize that she's also mocking over 1 billion Jews, Hindus, and Muslims, including the Prophet Muhammad, all of whom spoke with God. Here's a short list of the other mentally ill God speakers: Abraham, Moses, the Virgin Mary, Mother Teresa, and Gandhi. A word of warning, Joy, mocking the Prophet Muhammad could bring down a fatwa on your grotesquely large head.
All right, Crosby.
Whoa. Yeah,
No misogyny on this show.
I'd like to,
How is that misogyny?
Roast a
debate it.
majority of the city council voted 10-2 to override the 8th in a series of majority votes against streetcars and light rail, showing not just an undemocratic attitude, but actually a contempt for democracy.
And finally, you'll like this, Crosby. It's about a book, a toast to Howard Kurtz for his new book, Media Madness, detailing the stormy relationship between President Trump and news organizations. Kurtz is media critic at Fox News after stints at CNN and the Washington Post. Kurtz treats both sides fairly, in my opinion, and includes the book with this warning: Donald Trump will not be president forever, but the media's reputation, badly scarred during these polarizing years, might never recover. I fully agree with what Mr. Kurtz said. And that is Ruckus for this week. We're back next Thursday at 7. And now for the Ruckettes and the crew, Mike Shannon saying thanks very much for watching and good night.